after a particularly depressing, distressing occurrence in a court on a matter involved in the Franklin thing, where one of the witnesses, one of the key witnesses, a young man who had been involved in this all of his life, wanted to tell the truth, but was told, if you talk, you know, you're going to prison for 20 years, just like we did to Alicia Owen. And they sent Alicia Owen now. She's in prison, been there for a long time. And they told the boy, if you go ahead, you dare to speak out against the county attorney or whatever, you're going to prison. We'll charge you with perjury, and you've seen we can do it. So afterwards, and he took the Fifth Amendment, just hung his head and said, if I say anything, they'll lock me up for 20 years. So anyway, afterwards I went to the judge. I said, Judge, you know, I am so depressed. I love our system so much. The judge says, well, he just kept saying over and over, I'm just a man, I'm not a God. I'm just a man, I'm not a God. I'm just a man, I'm not a God. I can only do with the things I'm given, the evidence, and he's right, I suppose. And I said, I said, everybody knows the truth. Everybody knows. Every official, every judge, including you. And he said, yeah. And then he said something else. He said, I can't change it, but I can help you understand it. I said, what? He says, if you want to understand Franklin, if you want to understand the Franklin cover-up, if you want to understand what really happened, go read Billy Budd. I said, what? He said, if you want to understand, you won't agree, you won't like it, but at least you'll be able to understand it. He said, go read Billy Budd. I said, who the blazes is Billy Budd? He said, just go read it. You'll understand. Well, I walked out of there. I was mad. That was the last I ever heard or thought of Billy Budd for months. And then I was sitting one night on a Saturday night, might have even had a Jack Daniels or two, and watching TV, going through the channels, and all at once I hit a movie, and I see my screen has one of those things where it prints it out, you know, and you can read whatever it is, and it has Billy Budd. And I halted my TV and started looking. It was a great movie. And when it was finished, I understood why this little girl, Alicia Owen, had to go to prison. Why 20 people that I identified in the book from kids, children, had to be killed. Why things are going on in Washington. I understood why the cover-up had to be. It all made sense. I didn't like it, just like the judge said, but I understood it. Billy Budd was written by a guy named Herman Melville, same guy that wrote Moby Dick. And Billy Budd is a simple story. It's during the great days of the English or British Navy when they were riding high and mighty and having squabbles with different countries. And Billy Budd is a young, beautiful 18 or 19-year-old boy that's been impressed, you know, forced into the service. And despite that, he's a good sailor. And on this ship of all these tough guys, this British military ship, Billy gets into a squabble with a guy who is absolutely the most vile creature on earth at the time, he had to be, who was the second in command of the ship or whatever. And through a kind of an accident or incident, he tries to do something to Billy, and something happens, and Billy swings, and that guy falls, hits his head, and dies. Okay, so Billy now, this innocent young kid, basically, has allegedly killed the guy. So they have to have a court-martial and check it out. They go through the court-martial one after the other, and every one of the officers is all in agreement, including the captain, that Billy is truly, just like some of my kids in Franklin, as innocent as the driven snow, telling the absolute truth, a victim of circumstance, is probably the only good person, and this other guy, the second in command, is the most vile creature on earth. So Billy should be declared innocent. And then, as they're ready to solve the problem, declare him innocent, in other words, enforce justice, the issue is raised. And that's what the movie's all about. Slowly but surely, the officers go through this cycle, and they understand that, yeah, but you see, if we say he's innocent, then that's going to break down the system, our system of control, our system of absolute, total management that we have to have on a ship for a captain to know that there won't be a mutiny, that the sailors, no matter what, whether they agree or disagree, will always do what we say. And so when all this is done, and said, each one of them, knowing it's wrong, knowing that it's absolutely evil, they decide they have to find him guilty and take him out and hang him on the deck to save the system, to protect themselves and their positions for the future, their captains and their officers' positions, and so that never will the system falter when it becomes really important. Let's say a war with another ship or another country or whatever. Anyway, the essence of Billy Budd is that evil has to sometimes triumph, in other words, to maintain the overall system, and we hope the system itself is good. We hope the system is good. And yeah, it has to be some sacrifices along the way. And my question in the book, but what happens? What happens when the system itself becomes so corrupt that all it's existing for is its own continued existence and the ability and right to keep going on corruptly? And I guess that's where I think we are now. Has our system become too tainted to where it cares more about preserving itself and is willing to violate the Constitution, violate the rules, violate just plain fundamental moral principles? Has it become so tainted in its various key institutions that I don't know what?